video tutorial on how to solve quadratic equations using the minus b formula. So I'm sure you've heard what the minus b formula is, and this video is just the first exposure to using it to solve quadratic equations. So the quadratic is quite a straightforward one, and we'll be using the formula to find the values of x. Firstly, the top right hand corner, I have the general form for quadratic. So the minus b formula will be used on an equation of that form. So an ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Right, so what I'll begin by doing is I'll just write the equation for the minus b formula here. It's nice to kind of see it before going into the question. So x, which is going to be one of these values, is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and all that is divided by 2a. So the first thing I do when I learned how to use this formula is what way can I set it up so that it's more intuitive and it makes using this equation a lot easier. So what you can see in this equation is a's, b's and c's. So the first question would be, okay, what are these a's, b's and c's? Well, they're actually got from the quadratic that you're trying to solve. So up here underneath the quadratic, I'm always quite a fan of writing down the values of a, b, c straight from the off. So the a is the coefficient of the x squared, and the b is the coefficient of the x, and then the c is the constant value at the end. So a, b and c, all you need to do now is plug in them values into this minus b formula, and after that it's really just simplification and maybe just even using the calculator at the end. So once you have your a, b and c written out explicitly, you're now just going to pick the a, b and c up and you're going to put it into this formula. Alright, so then that would be, just continuing this equation, that would be x is equal to minus b. We see that b is 5, so this must be minus 5. And then we have a plus or minus. That plus and minus is there because we're getting the square root of a value. So you know when you're getting a square root of a value, the result is either plus or minus that number. That's why we have a plus or minus here. Square root, we have a b squared, so we pick up our b and we put it in. So that's 5 squared. Minus 4, our a is 2, our c is minus 12. And don't forget that all of that is divided by 2a, where a is 2. So now we've broken down this minus b formula, inserted numbers in for the variables, and now we're just left with an equation containing numbers. So continuing, that minus 5 can't be simplified any further. We have our plus or minus, we have our square root, 5 squared is 25. So we have a minus 12 by a minus 4. So that's going to be positive 48. And then multiply that by 2 is going to be positive 96. And then that's all divided by 4. 2 by 2. Just remember that the whole equation is divided by 2a, not just the square root part of it. Just an important point to note. Alright, so we've now simplified this a little further, so we'll just keep going. So let's go up here. So x is equal, again we can't simplify that minus 5 any further. 25 plus 96 is 121, and that's all divided by 4. And don't forget your plus or minus there. Alright, so it might be nice to spot that we have a square root value or a squared value in the square root, which is going to be nice because that means that our next line is going to be a lot more simplified. So we have a plus or minus, the square root of 121 is 11. And again, it's all divided by 4. Okay, so now we've kind of broken it down to as simple as we can get it. Up until the point where we have to separate it into two different expressions. So here what we're going to do is we're going to have an x1 And we're going, for x1, we're going to take this expression, but we're going to take, first we're going to take the positive 11, because if you remember the square root of 121, it isn't 11, it's plus or minus 11. So it's two separate values. So I'll say that again. The square root of 121 isn't positive 11, it's positive 11 and negative 11. There's two values there. So that means we have to have two x values, one corresponding to the positive 11 and the x2 corresponding to the negative 11. So first we're going to deal with the positive. So if I have an x1 minus 5, and we're going to have positive 11 divided by 4. And then over here we'll do x2 is going to be equal to minus 5 minus 11 all over 4. Simplifying each one down again, x1 is equal to minus 5 plus 11 is going to be 6 over 4. And x2 is going to be minus 5, that's going to be minus 16 over 4. And then finally, we have x1 value is going to be, 2 goes into each of them, so 3 over 2. And then our x2 value, 4 goes into minus 16 minus 4 times, minus 4. So using the minus b formula, we have found two values for x. We have found the first one to be 3 over 2 and the second one to be minus 4. So you're going to get two values because of this plus or minus that is intrinsic to the square root. I just cleared some space over here because I thought we may as well check to make sure our answers are correct. So firstly we'll plug in x1. So again, to check that them results are correct, we're going to put x1 in for all of x, and we're hoping that the equation will cancel out, i.e. 0 equals 0 at the end. So we get our 2 and we plug in our value, which is 3 over 2, and don't forget that's to be squared, and we have a plus 5 multiplied by 3 over 2, and then we have a minus 12 equals 0. Alright, so 3 by 2 squared, that's going to be 2 times 9 over 4, and then that's going to be plus 15 over 2 minus 12 equals 0. Okay, so then this is going to equal 18 over 4 plus, I'm going to multiply that by 2, so that's going to be 30 over 4 minus 12 equals 0. And then to get rid of this denominator, I'm just going to multiply across by 4. So if I multiply across by 4, they're going to cancel. Multiply across by 4, they're going to cancel. So it's going to be 18 plus 30 minus 12, or sorry, minus 4, but that's going to be 48 equals 0. 18 plus 30 is 48, minus 48, so 0 equals 0. So I know that 3 over 2 is a root of this quadratic equation as the equation is balanced here. So that's the first one we've checked, and 3 minus 2 is indeed a correct value for x. Okay, so the second one we're going to check is the minus 4. So it's going to be 2 by minus 4 squared plus 5 minus 4 minus 12 equals 0. So minus 4 by minus 4 is going to be 16, and 2 by 16 is 32. 5 by minus 4 is minus 20, and then we have a minus 12 equals 0. 20 and 12, that's going to be minus 32, which is going to cancel with this one. So it's 32 minus 32 equals 0, or 0 equals 0. So once again, we can see that x2 equal to minus 4 is also a root of this quadratic. Yes, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. The next video, which I'll link in the corner, is going to be a little bit more complicated. It's going to be a quadratic, but it's going to have fractions, and we're going to use the minus b formula to solve it. So a little bit more tricky, but this is a good introduction to it. I hope you enjoyed it. A like and a subscription would be great. It's a new channel. And you know, if you're enjoying this course, I'll be doing a lot more, and it would be good to get you on board. So yeah, thank you.